Hello people. Hey, this video is just going to cover a comment someone posted on a video, and what I think people should do regarding food storage. Minimally, it's recommended. And let me rephrase that. It's what I think. If you want to be hopefully secure for most things, this is what you should have. Okay. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a comment. This comment was left by Joel 1923. It's a comment that was put on a video called 1/4 of 1% of Americans prepared for a collapse, which means that anyway 99.75% are not prepared. Okay, I'll read his comment. Okay, he goes, you know, I don't think you mind me making a video on this a bit. Anyway, it goes, what this means is that the U.S. will be a nightmare for everyone. If you are prepared and you live in an urban area, you will probably be killed defending your stash. A bug-out vehicle and an isolated location is a must. One major problem: how much food and supplies can one have? I mean, would 6 months be enough? What happens after 6 months? Is order restored? Or does the population that is still alive resort to cannibalism? I just have trouble seeing beyond the collapse. Alright, that's the end of the comment. Yeah, I certainly can see what he's saying. The ideal situation, I suppose, there's always better solutions, I suppose, but one that some people can have is where they go to an isolated location. They have a number of people. They've already met their numbers of times and figured out what they're going to do and stuff like that, and they know what they'll need. They've maybe even have tried it for a month or something like that already a couple times, just to see if they could do it, you know, and all this kind of stuff. The way I look at it, whether or not order is restored within 6 months is depending upon what the problem is. I'm sure Joel 1923 knows this, but it depends upon what actually is the problem. Would it just be a I mean, if things got really bad where, I mean, the government it was Mad Max situation, I mean, I don't think necessarily that order would be restored. I mean, we could have a virus situation, we could have a war that just devastates major populations. Some of you guys probably have seen the movie called The Road, and I mean, I think that was caused by a sun put out some extra heat or something like that, and the whole parts of the planet got on fire or something like that, and a lot of people died, and civilization just wasn't going on, and there didn't seem to me to be any major recovery happening. It just seemed like a bunch of people going around in groups, or you know, and attacking other people to eat them and rape them, and taking what they've got. I suppose that the food wasn't growing because the two main characters in the movie were pretty much starving. They were always hungry, and I don't know. I don't have all the knowledge myself about how to do some things, but I presume if I did, I could grow food, but it'd probably have to be indoors if it was too cold outside. I don't have all the knowledge, though. I don't know how to produce certain types of light bulbs. I probably can figure out, I mean, if I had the materials, I probably could figure out how to make various types of electrical production so that the light bulbs could be lit, and the growing area could be heated, and I have seeds, and the water exists, you have dirt, you can grow food. But that's if you have an isolated location that is defended thoroughly, because in that movie, people were cannibalism was happening. Now, it all depends upon what, I guess, happens, what causes the problem, and then and of course depends upon what kind of what people do to make a more of a stable situation afterwards. I mean, as soon as possible. That's how long I guess this could go on. This some type of a collapse could stay that way or get worse. I mean, when I say the collapse stay that way, it means that the scenario I'm thinking of is that something happens and it just starts to go downhill. Things start to go downhill rather quickly, and many people die really quick. And we may not even have something like that. We might hopefully not have that, and we'll just have which is still bad. We'll just have a continuation of our gradual decline. But I don't know exactly what's going to happen. The people in New World Order people, some of these people are totally, what I get out of it, they're insane, and they are doing things that are destructive, and they themselves might, if they can get people to push buttons or attack another country just to start a war, they very well might. They themselves probably want to die too, but as long as they can take as many other people with them. So now Joel mentioned how long do we need how much food do we need? I thought about this a bit, and I'm sure I thought about it before. Oh yes I have, but this is my new idea. You need enough food for all the people that are going to end up in your location. Okay? You need enough food for all the people that are going to end up in your location. And you need, I would recommend, at least 3 years. Why I say this is because the first year, I mean, not all of us have grown things. You never know exactly what they're going to do, what could happen. We could have a nuclear war, and things may not grow. And the trees that exist that might start to die, and because the sun isn't coming out, and food doesn't, and it might take 7 to 10 years for things to get a little bit better in some areas. And how long are you going to live during that situation? If you have a 1 year storage of food, you got 7 years to make it. And the pine trees don't even live, because I would assume because it's too dark and they don't get enough sunlight. Who knows? Because of the nuclear war, that could happen, or whatever could happen. But the point of it is that I think unless it's really bad, I think a nuclear type war, some areas might be okay 7 to 10 years later, where maybe things could recover a bit for some. I don't know. Some people say, I think I've heard 20 years. I think it's, depending upon the situation, it could be 7 to 10, depending upon how bad it is. Now, the reason why I say, like I said, 3 years is because the first year, you never know exactly what's going to be happening around you. You're getting used to it, and your food just might not grow for some reason, or it might not turn out real well. If you haven't if you never really have produced the amount of food you actually need, you might not be used to it. You might say, damn, I planted all this food and only 1/10 of it actually made it. But that's all you got. You can't go to some grocery store and say, okay, I'm going to make up the difference this year. If there's no food in the grocery store and there's nothing going to be in the grocery store, that's all you've got. So maybe, let's say you make it through that year. Okay, say you have a year storage food, a year of storage food, but let's say you weren't able to grow very much. So the second year, You say you only grew like 1/10 of what you need for the second year. Well, you're going to starve. So I say the second year, yeah, get enough for the second year. But let's say things don't go as right, or some additional people come along, or whatever, you know. I mean, let's say the growing season of the second year doesn't do very well, you know, or you get better at it but not good enough, or somebody torches half of your food or something like that, and you have to grow. Let's say the storage food you have, someone torches it, half of it, middle of the second year, and you're like, man, I got to grow the rest of this now to make up the difference. You only got 2 months left to grow the rest of the food, so you're figuring, okay, what can I plant in 2 months that will make it, so I can get a mass quantity of it. Hope you're following this. What I mean is that, let's say you have 2 months left of the growing season, and you were planning well, but you had some battle with some people, and they torched half of your food storage you had left for that second year, that you can make it through to the next year. You know what I mean? That you were planning on using to make it through the following summer. They torched half your food. Now you're thinking, man, I only got 2 months left. We're not going to have enough with what we grew and what we actually have stored still. So you're thinking like, okay, what can we grow in 2 months? What kind of seeds can we grow in 2 months that will produce a lot of food that we can use? I think green beans and stuff like that, some of those suckers can really turn out a lot in 2 months. You got to find out the earliest crop. Some tomatoes can grow within 2 months, from seed to actual food production. And some things grow. And I've got Brussels sprouts and broccoli it's first part of December, and the plant's still alive. It's still growing stuff. It's 30 degrees outside, and they're still alive. Supposedly they'll die when the ground freezes. They're still alive, though. These things are hardy, very strong, can handle it. Just for an example, I told you, but I just tell you that about the broccoli and the Brussels sprouts. So I say 3 years. Hopefully, one will weed out the screw ups, and society will calm down enough so you'll have enough to make it through. Even if you grow nothing, for 3 years, if you have 3 years of food storage for every single person which you're going to allow within your location, and you protect your location properly, if you can, and you don't put the food all in one spot, and all this other stuff, I think 3 years would be long enough. But think about it. This is where it comes into a problem. How many people do you expect to let in there, and how are you going to determine who can come in there and who cannot? You know, some people will say, don't tell anybody where you're at, where you're going to be going. Okay, that would hopefully reduce that chances. And you know, if anybody comes by, the solution to handle them, you can imagine what that might be to keep the rest of the people out who might just stumble on your place. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that that's what some people might say about this. That's why I say it's like, so if you're like a group of 7 people or 5 people, you have to consider, okay, you're going to have to, if you plan on bringing like some relatives and all these kind of friends and stuff like that, and they're not preparing, you're going to have to prepare for them for 3 years too. And they're going to need toothbrushes, they're going to need all these things. How much food can you store? How much do you have to get? You can see why this video that I made earlier about 99.75% of the population, this is what supposedly it is, that percentage is not preparing for some type of collapse. They might have some silver, you know, here and there. They might have some food in their cupboards and stuff like that. But actual preparing, I'm not sure exactly what that means. I think it must mean 6 months or more of food, or something like that, and a bunch of other things. That's what I assume. That's what I assume that one person who said that stuff about what percentage of Americans actually are prepared. I assume that's what he's referring to, that they have done numbers of things. But I don't know for sure. But remember, you're going to have to do all these things if you're going to actually have them in your space. So can this all be done? I don't know. But if you're unsure about what to do, and you're unsure about who's coming around, if they got A1 steak sauce in their pocket, be aware. Okay, that's the end of the video. Have a good one.